All right, we're starting chapter 5, Monsters. They lost sight of the wolves at least 10 miles back, yet all the devil men kept their eyes fixed on the road behind them, no one speaking as they headed south on Route 3, following the Coral River through the isolated hill country. No one had killed him yet, so Jesse felt he might have a chance of getting out of this scrap alive. No one had killed him yet, so Jesse felt he just might have a chance of getting out of this scrape alive. So, Jesse said, "Where can I drop you and your friends off at?" The she-devil studied him. The fire in her eyes had diminished. She was still holding their unnerving orange tint, but not glowing as before. She pushed back the hood of her jacket and gave him a wry grin and shook her head. Her hair was dark, matted, and greasy, cropped short, as though hacked away with a knife. Her gray skin, with blotchy black patches, made it difficult to gauge her age, but if Jesse had to guess, he would have said somewhere in her late teens. The window between the cab and the camper shell slid open, and one of the devil men poked his head into the cab. He appeared to be older, his face heavily lined, late 50s perhaps, long greasy hair and bristly black beard. "We've lost them." "No," corrected the devil man seated next to him. It was the tall one of the ones with horns and draped in bear hides, his skin like that of two horned monsters next to him. His skin like that of the two horned monsters next to him appeared to be covered in black paint or tar perhaps, as though he'd purposely tried to darken it. The tall devil man crouched over, trying not to bump his horns on the camper roof. You will never lose them, not so long as the ravens follow." His speech was paced, a bit stilted. He sounded to Jesse like a Native American. The woman rolled down her window. The cold wind buffeted the cab as she leaned her head out and scanned the night sky. She withdrew back in. "No sign of them. None that I could see, no ways." "None that I could see, no ways." There, the tall one said. "I feel them." "I don't feel anything," the bearded man said. "How can you be so sure?" The tall man gave him a pitying look. "Don't give me that look. I hate that look." The bearded man was silent a minute. "Well, what are you going to do about them?" "Do?" the woman said. We got the sack. There's only one thing we can do." "What?" the bearded man cried. "We're just going to go back to the cave? But that'll lead the monsters right to him. Not to mention right to us. Why, we'll be trapped." "We got no choice," she insisted. "That was the command." "Well, then we'd better hope old Tall and Ugly can get unhooked before they catch up with us, or we're all going to die horribly." The creatures all fell quiet, the lone wiper beating out a squeaky rhythm as they watched the slushy road slipping away behind them in the glow of the taillights. Jesse noted that one of them had been shot, holding his face. Jesse noted that the one that had been shot, holding his face, blood spilling out between his fingers. Jesse noted the one that had been shot holding his face, blood spilling out between his fingers. He didn't think that one would be around for much longer. After seeing those wolves, he didn't think any of them would. "So," Jesse put in, "given any thought to where I should let you guys off?" They ignored him. "Are we even going the right way?" the woman asked. "How the heck should I know?" the bearded devil replied. "Well, how about you, Makwa?" The man's face wrinkled up in distaste, but he did just that in a heated discussion. Oh my gosh. The man's face wrinkled up in distaste, But he did just that, and a heated discussion broke out, accompanied by an arsenal of animated hand gestures. He leaned back through the window. Yes, we seem to be going the right way. You sure? The woman asked. No, I'm not sure, but Big Chief Know-It-All sure seems to think so. And when was the last time he was wrong? The woman shrugged. Makwa jabbed a finger into the cab, pointed ahead to the ridge line, barely visible in the night sky. Yeah, we got it, the bearded man said. Hey, I know where we're at, the woman said. We should be coming up on the road in about a mile then. She looked at Jesse. You got that? Turn up the next dirt road. Okay, that'll work. I'll just drop you off there. No, you'll do no such thing. She looked at him sadly, her tone softening. I'm mighty sorry, but you're tied up in this now. We're going to need you to take us up the mountain as far as you can. Well, sweetheart, Jesse said, I'm not really in the mood to go and get myself stuck up in them woods. Not tonight. I'm going to drop you guys off right here. She poked the pistol against his ribs. I'm not really in the mood to shoot you either, but I will. Jesse gave her a quick, spiteful look. And my name's not Sweetheart, it's Isabel. After a long moment, she asked, And you? You got a name? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. It's Jesse. Well, Jesse, here's Vernon. The bearded devil smiled and stuck out his hand. Good to make your acquaintance. From the way he spoke, Jesse knew he wasn't from around here. From somewhere up north, maybe. Jesse looked at Vernon's extended hand and as though it were covered in spit. Vernon's smile withered, and he withdrew his hand. Yes, well, and this remarkably unrefined specimen here, he gestured to the tall devil in the bear hide, is Makwa. Beside him is Whippy. And the unfortunate gentleman with the bullet hole in his face is his brother, Nippy. Despite their appearance, Jesse got the feeling that these creatures, or people, or whatever they might be, were more scared and desperate than menacing. On any account, they didn't seem to harbor him any ill will. Still, he knew what they were capable of. Couldn't get the image of Leonard's slit throat out of his mind, but decided maybe they weren't the murdering monsters he'd first thought. Either way, desperate people did dangerous things, and Jesse figured the sooner he got away, the better his chances of seeing another day. Just what are you guys supposed to be, anyhow? What do you mean? The girl asked. What did you mean, what did I mean? Are you werewolves, boogeyman, or just been out trick-or-treating? Well, she replied, irritated. I ain't any of those, thank you. I'm a person, just like you. Jesse laughed, and not very kindly. No, you most certainly are not. Krampus calls us Belsnickles, Vernon put in. You'll have to ask him exactly what that means. His tone turned bitter. But any way you want to put it, it means we're his servants, his slaves. I got another idea, Jesse said. How about you let me out then? I just hitch a ride out of here and take my chances. Isabel shook her head. I'm sorry, Jesse, but we can't do that. Why the hell not? I'm giving you my damn truck. What else do you need me for? No one answered. Well? Can't none of us drive very well. What? Jesse stared at her, then burst out laughing. You gotta be shitting me. Isabel frowned. I wasn't but 16 when I left home, and Mama didn't own a car nohow. What about good old Vernon here? Or them Injuns? Isabel smiled at that. I'd like to see one of them Shawnee trying to drive, so long as I wasn't riding with him, that is. I guess the last thing Vernon drove was hitched up to a horse. Vernon sighed. There weren't very many automobiles about when I was still human. What are you talking about? Well, Vernon said, we're a bit older than we might seem. I was 49 when I started surveying this part of the country, was working for the Fairmont Coal Company at the time. That was about 1910. And Isabel, we found her around, it was winter of 71. That'll put me somewhere in my 50s, I guess. Jesse caught a note of sadness in her voice. He glanced over. She was staring out the window into the darkness. She certainly didn't look in her 50s. That don't add up, Jesse said. I know it don't, Isabel said. Not one bit, but that's the truth of it. It's Krampus. His magic does it. And them Indians, hell, they've been with Krampus nearly as long as he's been stuck in the cave, going on near 500 years, I'd say. Jesse noticed his fuel light was still on, wondering if he might be able to use that to his advantage. He thumped the fuel light. About out of fuel, should get some gas before we try to head up to the mountains. We'll make it, Isabel said. You sound rather sure. Just in my nature to be optimistic, I guess. Yes, Vernon said. It's very annoying. Me, I say way too much optimism will get you killed. I say too much optimism will get you killed. Makwa shoved his long arm into the cab. There. Jesse slowed down, caught sight of a reflector, and then found the mouth of a small dirt road. The turnoff was overgrown with brambles and looked like it hadn't been used in ages. Jesse sat in the middle of the highway with the engine idling. You gotta be kidding me. Just turn. Jesse contemplated opening the door and running for it, then remembered how quick these creatures were. Damn it, Jesse said. It pulled off the highway. The truck bottomed out in the ditch, the tail end making a terrible racket as it ground against the rocky grade. Branches scraped alongside the truck, the sound making Jesse's teeth hurt. The road followed a steep ledge, hard, tense going. The road followed a steep ledge upward, hard, tense going, with just one headlight. The truck bounded along the icy, washed-out ruts, and Jesse took a certain pleasure in hearing the devilmen's heads hitting the roof of the camper. The trail, Jesse wouldn't call it a road at this point, zigzagged up the incline, fording the same creek at least a dozen times. After about a half an hour, the road abruptly ended in a wall of fallen rocks. Pull over here, Isabel said, beneath the trees. What for? Just do it. Jesse did, and the Belsnickles all scrambled out of the camper, Makwa carrying the Santa sack over his shoulder. Nippy, the one shot in the face, had tied a strip of cloth around his face, and the bleeding seemed to have stopped. Shut it off, Isabel said to Jesse. What? You're coming with us. Like hell I am. She reached over and shut the truck off and took the keys. Hey! She put the keys in her jacket pocket along with the pistol, got out, and came around to his door. You don't want to be staying here by yourself. Trust me. No, that's not fair. We had a deal. You're right. It ain't fair. Not any of it. No one knows that better than we do. But we need that truck. And if we leave here, you'll get eaten. Then who's going to drive us back down this mountain? Jesse wasn't a big fan of being eaten part at all. Jesse wasn't a big fan of the being eaten part at all. She opened his door. Don't make me drag you. A distant caw came from somewhere far away. They all looked up. We need to hurry, Vernon urged. Fuck, Jesse said, shut off the light, and got out of the truck. The Belsnickles headed up the heavily wooded slope at a fast jog. Isabel pushed Jesse along after them. You know what's after us, Jesse? Do your best to keep up. Oh, you know what's after us, Jesse. Do your best to keep up, you hear? Jesse heard the cawing from somewhere far above and heard the drumming in his chest and wondered if he'd ever see Abigail again.